Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County for Wednesday, March 27th, 2019. I am the Nighthawk, along with our studio director, Zach, and on the panel this week, just the Duke. I don't mean to demean you that way.
I hear you. I don't feel demeaned at all. Glad you're in charge, though.
Dave Handy, who did the show solo with me last week, is off per year.
Oh, a big trip for Mr. Dave.
To Lebanon in the Middle East.
Visit some kin over there.
Yeah.
Boy, going over there at a time that the Mideast seems to be, again, ratcheting up with Israel and the Gaza situation. Yeah. Again, not great.
I absolutely look forward to him coming back and get a travelogue. Of course, once he gets back, you'll be on vacation, so.
Yeah, interesting timing. But,
yeah.
Well, we got a couple weeks anyway.
Yeah, so 528-5315 to be on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. And the obvious choice here to start the show is baseball. We're just hours away tomorrow to start. There is no game overseas. Am I?
I mean, there were two official games earlier. Yeah.
Did I completely missed it.
Them. Oakland and I guess Seattle.
And
2 games in Tokyo.
I missed it completely. How did those games fare?
I paid some attention to the first game. Boy, you're asking a good question. I'm thinking, maybe a caller could help us. I'm thinking Oakland was ahead in the first game, but anyway, sorry about that. But there were 2 games. But tomorrow's the main day.
Yeah. Chris Sale, I just want to speak of, it's nice at times for me to see fairness in sport.
I'm very happy
The
with
Red
that
Sox
contract.
management, Chris Sale, I thought were so right on with his contract extension. In fact, if it was me, I would have asked for a couple million more. Of course, he's only getting a mere $15 million this year, the last year of his contract, grossly underpaid. But the Red Sox took a risk with him coming off an injury-plagued season last year. He will turn 30 on Saturday.
Yeah.
So he's into those golden years for pitchers. But it was only a 5-year contract, 145 on the average of $29 million a year. Now, Duke, if it was me, I would simply say to the Red Sox brass,
David Price is worth
I'm Chris
31
Sale.
mil,
Right, that's exactly what I would say. I would say David Price is getting 31. I want 32. That's
not that kind of guy.
But he's not that kind of guy.
He likes the Red Sox. And another benefit, which I think he lives in Fort Myers. So being with the Red Sox, that gives him 2.
Did not know that.
Basically another month or 2 with his family. He said he had made most of the baseball games with his kid.
Wow.
So I mean that's a huge. Yeah. But he's obviously very comfortable. He's not the most loquacious, talkative guy in the world, but he's comfortable. He seems to do pretty well with the media. He's made it clear that he really likes Boston. So why does he's going to screw around and hope to get a few more bucks from somebody else?
He is extremely serious, and for a pitcher of that stature, top 3 pitcher in all of baseball, no braggadocious attitude from him. He just wants to go out and pitch. And of course, the incident people remember him is when he was pitching for the Chi Sox, and they were going out their 1970 uniforms. I think
1970 or maybe 1917 or something.
No, well,
I thought they were old-fashioned unis.
Yeah. Do you remember when the White Sox wore shorts? Do you remember?
Shorts?
They actually wore.
Really?
Now I don't know if that was the uniform, but of course he went around the clubhouse with
cut them
scissors
up or something?
and cut all the jerseys.
But that sounds like there's been nothing in Boston. He's been just a straight.
He
guy.
respects the game, and a more serious organization you will find nowhere than the Boston Red Sox.
Oh, I'm really happy. And the only concern if you're a Red Sox fan is just his health and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I assume, say he goes down, say he blows out his arm and is gone. I assume they have insurance policies that pick up stuff like that.
I wish I had more knowledge of that, but
wouldn't you think?
Look at Steven Strasburg a few years back.
Yeah.
Scott Boras is his agent, and the big surprise, he had a year remaining on it. Who is, by the way, Chris Sale's agent? Do we know?
Geez, I can't tell you that. It's
definitely
not our friend, Mr. Boras.
But Strasburg had Scott Boras very comfortable in the D.C. area. From San Diego, I would have told you he would have been gone after his contract ended, signed with the Padres. His wife liked D.C.
Yeah.
So a year before his contract was up, without any hint of him signing. He signed a 7-year, $175 million contract for $25 million a year. Well, Strasburg's a very good pitcher when he pitches.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's always a huge question mark with him every year. Now, do I expect Washington to win that division? Yes. If Steven Strasburg stays healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, he can't go down. So I think both of us are in agreement. It's always a huge risk factor when you sign a pitcher to a long-term contract. However, when you got a guy of the stature of Chris Sale,
and just someone who
don't want to
seems
let
be,
him go.
And especially for me, even as much as that, is just someone who seems totally comfortable in Boston. He doesn't get, he doesn't get caught up in all the stuff that goes on. He does his thing, so, talks to the media when he needs to. So I think that to me, I mean, look at David Price. How good a fit was David Price in Boston?
Right.
Ask Dennis Eckersley how good a fit that was.
Exactly.
I still don't trust Price to keep his mouth shut.
Yeah, opposites. I mean, you could not find anywhere than
So no, I'm very
Price's
happy
personality
with the,
and so I like guys that just keep their mouth shut.
Yeah.
Remember the Dixie Chicks?
Sure.
They were the hottest country band.
I have some of their music. I love some of their music.
And I mean, for many, many years, they were the hottest band. Of course, when they shot down George Bush and their career went into
I guess that didn't
just
help
flames,
their career. Huh?
And that's where the expression, just shut up and sing.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Not sure I've heard that expression.
Yeah. So for some folks, it's just shut up and pitch.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, I'm absolutely happy with that.
So
Just one other Red Sox. Boy, I guess it's kind of a numbers game, but I feel bad for Sandy Leon and the Red Sox pitchers. They love this guy. But again, the Red Sox last year were saying we can't carry 3 catchers, and they hung in last year. Of course, Swihart played some other positions, but hit over 400 in spring. Young guy, switch hitter. There's a lot to potentially like about him, but I guess Sandy Leon, did go to Pawtucket.
Yeah, nobody
grabbed
him.
I'm a little surprised nobody grabbed him.
He
No?
just
He
used to be
He was with your
the
guys
third
for a
string
while,
catcher
right?
for the Nats, meaning he was in the minor leagues, AAA.
Yeah.
When somebody went down, he came up. Pitchers loved him, absolutely loved him, but he couldn't hit his weight.
But it's funny, he had that one half season with the Red Sox when he hit out
And
of
they
his
gave him a
mind.
nice contract. I think he's getting what?
It's over $2 million.
2.5 a
even
year.
in Pawtucket, he's making
Yeah.
$2 million plus.
Yeah.
And with injuries and stuff, it's probably
Absolutely.
likelier than not he'll be back in
And
Boston.
not only that, if you give Swihart enough at bats,
Yeah.
he could be a trade chip. Come July 30th.
Had a home run. I happened to see a little bit of their spring training game today, I think in Arizona. Is that where they are? Or whatever, yesterday. Had a nice home run batting right-handed. But I mean, a versatile guy, young guy, potentially decent hitter. But I still feel a little bad for Sandy. Sandy has served the team well.
Very
And the
likable person.
Pitchers love the guy.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So USA Today, their predictions. American League East. Yankees in first with 98 wins. Red Sox second with 95 wins. Central, Cleveland.
What do they have Tampa with? Is
Tampa
on there?
86 wins.
Way less than last year.
The Central, Cleveland with 93. Second place, the Twinkies with 83, 10 games out. AL West, Houston probably will be the best team in baseball this year. 98 wins. Oakland, 10 games out at 86. National League East, Washington and Atlanta with 89 wins. The Phillies only 1 game back at 88. This is really weird. In the Central, Chicago, St. Louis, and Milwaukee, all with 89 wins. So that is going to be a Donnybrook of a division. And in the NL West, with not much competition, the Dodgers, 94 wins. Rockies, 7 games back with 87.
And who did that? Who's
from USA Today from yesterday, and our good friends at Camden Yards, Baltimore. Would they? I think they lost 116 last year.
Yeah,
so
right.
they've got them at 56 and 106.
Jeez,
10-game improvement.
Right?
And just to show you how bad things are with Baltimore, their starting pitcher will be Andrew Kashner.
Is that right?
Okay, at best at best with any other team, he's a number 4 starter. Is
that right?
So this team is just absolutely horrible.
So again, are they just looking to, I mean, terrible team and draft picks, hopefully in a few years we'll bring them back?
Yeah, I mean, how are you going to catch up with Boston and New York? You're
not to mention Tampa being a decent team.
Yeah.
And Tampa, there's another maybe worth noting, Blake Snell. We talked before about his big, $15,000 raise. And it sounds like Tampa, sounds like a very good deal at about average $20 million a year or something? Is that what Snell's getting? Was it 5 years?
Is that what he got?
It might be.
I didn't see
like
his new, okay.
But I mean, if I'm Tampa, sign him up. But I guess this also speaks to the free agent market, aside from some of your top dogs. I mean, we're talking
half dozen people signed.
We're
in
talking
the past
our
week.
old Red Sox relief pitchers on Kimbrel's nowhere, right?
You got Craig Kimbrel sitting at home.
He would look whatever.
Dallas Keuchel sitting at home, which would make. I think. I know a lot of people are on the Bryce Harper Philly bandwagon. Yeah. They have a nice starting 8. However, as I say every week, you get past. Who's their Aaron Nola? Yeah, one of the top pitchers in the National League. Yeah. Jake Arrieta's the number 2 guy with a 3.97 ERA, and the other 3, nobody could name the other 3.
Sure can.
Dallas Keuchel would fit nicely. Now, the Nats, I would not mind getting Kimbrel. I'll be generous. I would give him a 3-year, $30 million, 10 a year. That's it. My whole point with relief pitchers is very, very simple. If you were that good of a pitcher, you'd be starting. Yeah. There's a reason you don't start. Yeah. There is a reason why David Price gets 31. Max Scherzer gets 30.
Why defensive backs are defensive 29. Backs and not wide receivers?
Exactly. Zach Greinke gets $34 million a year. Okay, if basic economics, these guys would not be a relief pitcher if they could start.
And I guess that's a fair point.
And Kimbrel, laughably, wanted $100 million for 6 years, which is about $17.5 million a year for a guy that pitches 70 innings a year. Not going to happen. And I've been espousing all these years that these saves just the most overrated statistic in any sport. Just it's not a big deal getting saves.
Again, I certainly don't totally agree, as people know, but I think there's something to what you're saying.
You know, it's definitely a bullpen by committee.
Kimbrel, is anybody going after him for a few years?
Like we read last week, Milwaukee was kicking the tires. Well, Milwaukee's a small market team. They're not going to go after him.
Has anybody tried to interview Kimbrel? What he thinks about?
You know what, Duke? Good
I'd love to hear what
I have not heard from him since the World Series.
Yes.
And again, Keuchel is out there,
and not to mention a bunch. I mean, a ton of other lesser lights.
Yeah, and I don't have the list in front of me, but there's some
a few dozens anyway.
Yeah. Yep. Wow. Like Adam Jones, very good outfielder from the Baltimore Orioles, was a free agent. Nobody picked him up. He finally signed with the Diamondbacks a few weeks ago. Well, lo and behold, their starting right fielder, Steven Souza, that came up through the Nats organization. He was part of the Trey Turner trade. He ACL, MCL, and PSL. He was crossing home plate. I didn't see the play, but just blew his knee out completely out for the year. So I won Mr. Adam Jones as a starting position for the Diamondbacks, which are not going to be a great team this year after losing Paul Goldschmidt to St. Louis, one of the most underrated ball players in baseball, because you're lost in a desert. They're playing out west. Nobody hears about you. And, of course, with Patrick Corbin leaving and signing with the Nats. So that's going to be a bad ball club. So, Duke, the last 2 nights up in Montreal, the Milwaukee Brewers and Toronto Blue Jays played.
I didn't even take any notice of that.
The difference here, and they've been highly successful.
Blue Jays and Brewers.
They've been highly successful with those ball games because they've been on a Friday night and a Saturday night. Yeah. So you can drink all the Labatt's you want because you don't have to go to work the next day. Yeah. But with the freak nature of the schedule this year, starting earlier, they had the game Monday and Tuesday night, and they got about 25,000 for each night, which for Monday, Tuesday night is pretty good. And I told you last year, well, this is kind of cute bringing these 2 exhibition games, but there has to be an end game.
Yeah.
I mean, enough already. I mean, the next step to me is put a few real ball games up there during the course
Hey,
of
is
the
there
season.
anything? I just checked emails before I came out, but didn't have time. My good friend Roy, my fellow Dookie friend in Underhill, he sent me an email, and I didn't have time to. It was an attachment. Sometimes my computer doesn't like attachments. Anyway, but his headline to me in his email to me was Montreal Ballpark ? And he sent me an attachment which I didn't have time to read. If anything going on that you're aware of?
From the Montreal Gazette today, I seen some interviews with Stephen Brofman. Now, who's Stephen Brofman? That's the son of the first and longtime original owner of Les Expos de Montreal, Charles Brofman.
So he's the son of Charles,
Right, and their claim to fame is what? Seagram? They own Seagram.
Seagram sounds right.
Right, and so they're filthy rich, and Charles Brofman had gotten tired of baseball and the politics of baseball and got out of it, and that was the start of the downhill slide of the Nets.
Yeah.
Well, Stephen Brofman's in his mid-40s now, loves baseball. His little 10-year-old kid was on in the interviews with him. The kid loves baseball, and he's got millions to burn. I'll just read some snippets here from the Montreal Gazette. Brofman indicated that he's ready to move quickly. First, by acquiring the $50 million parcel of Griffintown land in Peel Basin. You know Montreal better than me.
I do.
That has been targeted as the future home of the Expos.
I'm almost thinking it's Old Port area, but
So I think it's right by the water, and
I think it's near Old Port, maybe even closer to like the Bell Center from Old Port. But
Brofman said potential markets include San Antonio, Nashville, or Portland, none of which has the population or the history of Montreal. And this was really striking to me. And Major League Baseball Players Association, he said, would block any move to Mexico City or Monterrey, Mexico. I've heard rumblings. I mean, Mexico City is the largest city in North America,
maybe
and probably top 3 in the world.
Boy, that sounds pretty crazy to me.
The biggest holdup that remains is that Manfred, the commissioner, is waiting to see if stadium issues are resolved in Oakland and Tampa Bay.
Tampa obviously comes right
And
to
Major League Baseball is also, according to Brofman, keeping an eye on 1 or 2 other teams. To be clear, Brofman doesn't care whether the team that eventually comes to the city is an expansion team or a team on the move. Think the Tampa Bay Rays moving north to Montreal as the Expos moved south to Washington 15 years ago. And again, as I repeatedly said, folks, I can guarantee you a very simple Nighthawk guarantee. 27 sellouts in Montreal. First couple years would be at the Big O until the new ballpark gets built. 9 games with the Red Sox. You wouldn't be able to get a ticket for that. 9 games with the Yankees. Would not be able to get a ticket for that. 9 games with the Blue Jays. Would not get a ticket for that. And I can assure you, Duke, Red Sox. Now, I've been up to Red Sox games with you, but it was interleague play. To me, it was still exhibition baseball. Didn't mean all that much. But I can guarantee you, if Montreal's got a team back there, Red Sox are there. Of course, we all know the Red Sox. I would get a hotel for 2-3 nights and not deal with the traffic. And I wouldn't spend a ton of money for the hotel, but with a great subway system they have there, make sure I'm near the rails. And I mean, to go to a baseball game, a meaningful baseball game. I would love to see
in the Botanical Gardens right next door, a great place.
I'd love to see the Yankees, rivalry. I mean, Montreal City, Montreal hates Toronto. Toronto hates Montreal, period. So,
no, as you said, that makes makes so much sense.
It would be so successful.
Does Manfred presumably think that a new stadium, that all of a sudden 30,000 people a game will go to the Tampa Rays games if they have a new stadium? Admittedly, the Trop, where I've seen a Duke Kentucky basketball game.
And I've been
admittedly, that place is with the love catwalks. I love it when a ball hits off a catwalk and is still in play.
Well, Duke.
But they're thinking, hey, if we have a new stadium, everything will be fine.
The Kevin Costner movie, The Field of Dreams. If they build it, they will come. Well, apparently, everybody saw that movie except the residents of Dade County, Miami.
Right.
They built a spanking new ballpark, 4 years ago?
Yeah.
And they're the second lowest attendance in baseball, only second to Tampa.
Yeah.
They barely average 10,000 people. Granted, they don't have a very good team.
Yeah.
And if they didn't build that brand new stadium, Miami could be a team.
And even
on the
some of
move.
these other bigger markets, I mean, the new stadium helped for years and stuff. I mean, Baltimore comes to mind, Cleveland comes to mind.
Yeah.
And they did great for a while, but these days, Cleveland didn't even average like 20,000 last year, did they?
Cleveland's got a very good ball club.
What happened to
I don't
Cleveland?
know. And what's the name? I can't remember the new name, but what was the original? Jacobs Field was the original name
I think
of
a
that.
record just sold out for years.
Yeah, years and years, and Red Sox might have
So
broken the
weird.
record.
Yeah.
But let's look at the scenario with Oakland. They've been talking about getting a ballpark for
Doesn't
years.
it sound like, I mean, football's going to Vegas.
Yeah.
Isn't there Oakland baseball talk to Vegas too, maybe?
Okay, the Vegas hockey team,
The Golden Knights?
the Golden Knights, it's just more successful than any franchise. I mean, people say that's the best place to go watch a hockey game. They do it right in Vegas.
The one thing that drives me a little crazy about them, quickly, PK Subban for the Bruins. This guy was horrible. He played an occasional game.
You mean
get
Malcolm?
killed.
Malcolm, the
I'm
goaltender?
Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
talking about Malcolm.
Yeah.
Sorry, PK's brother, Malcolm. I mean, horrible
Yep.
with the Bruins.
Yes, he
They
was.
trade him, and he's, I think, undefeated at least in home games
Back
in
up
Las Vegas or something.
to
Malcolm.
Marc-Andre Fleury. And he was a Bruins first-round pick. They had a late pick, but I told you for the position they were in.
But he seemed terrible.
Yeah.
He's been great for
Yeah.
Las Vegas. Thank
So
you,
if
Malcolm.
Oakland leaves, to me, the obvious choice, Vegas.
Yeah.
But choice number 2 would be Portland, Oregon. But I don't really think Portland's
sure it's big
got
enough.
the
Great town.
population to support that team. So, who knows? But, I'll be 61 next year. And when I say my prayers that night,
nice to be so young.
I just, that's my bucket list.
You'd kill for Montreal, getting it back.
Dude,
I know you would.
game in April, weather's still pretty
But
crappy.
again, go back to Bronfman's Charles' son. So he's got the location he likes. But he's telling me he's prepared to, finance this
Yes.
himself.
Yes.
in
Well, I'm
hopes-
sure he's got friends, but he's got huge pockets. And it says something.
in hopes that a team would come, or would he?
No,
He would
no.
obviously
No.
need a guarantee.
It said
Yes,
later in the
build
article.
a stadium and we'll come.
Right. No. He said he needs to get the guarantee.
Okay,
That,
obviously.
and he said, I will be the first one out at Griffintown or whatever that place is. I will take the first bit of earth out of the ground. And they indicated we will not do what Quebec City did.
I was just about to mention
where they
Le
built an
Colisée.
18,000 seat NHL arena,
Right.
except for one thing. They were never guaranteed. And that was 3 years ago, that nice, big, beautiful hockey arena is sitting.
Another team, Seattle just got the latest expansion team. Yeah, Quebec City, no, it
Right.
doesn't even sound like it's particularly likely anytime soon.
No. And
I was about to mention Quebec City, in fact.
Yeah, one of the finest cities in the world to
They
visit.
do obviously have their highest minor league team there. I wonder how,
Quebec Citadels.
any idea how they draw? 5 to 10,000 a game maybe or something?
Yeah, 4 or 5 would be probably the best case scenario.
No, that's too bad.
But
I'd love to
just
see.
reading the Gazette article, it certainly was more than what I read.
That's probably what Roy
It
sent
was the
me.
most encouraging news I've read. And of course, they're going to keep on the down low here. They don't want to make too much publicity until they have a definitive answer.
Had Bronfman's kid made noise before? That's maybe the first time.
That's the first time I've really heard from a guy with money. Of course,
We've been hearing folks like Warren Cromartie.
former Montreal Expo player, beloved player. But Warren Cromartie and $1.50 will get you a cup of
I
coffee.
haven't been listening to the Team 690 as much lately. I can only assume they're giving this some attention too.
I did listen to a little bit of that,
Yeah.
and like myself, they want an end game here. Okay, enough of these exhibition games right before the start of the season, because let's face it, they were getting 45,000 fans every game up till this year when they had to put it, as I said, Monday, Tuesday. But I'll just say average it out to 32.5. Well, that's a lot better than 3,250 people down in Florida 10 times the money.
But Tampa Bay just shrieks of such common sense, as you say.
Yeah.
Just seems like you'd have a guarantee, a team that would just do
Now,
great.
Duke, I've said it a zillion times on the show. I retire. I moved to Florida.
Yeah.
Not that I would ever spend the summer down there, but I definitely would like to live down there during the winter for 6 months.
Yeah,
However,
don't blame you.
However, to make my point here, if I moved anywhere in Florida, I would do exactly what I did last night. I called Comcast and got my Major League Baseball package for $169.99.
Is that right?
And this
170.
way, I'm guaranteed to get 162 Washington National games.
So you can get every
Nationals game.
So just now.
Well, I get every game, any game I want. If I want to watch,
you can see every game every day.
Right. If I want to watch the Rockies and Diamondbacks,
You literally could see every
game. Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah. Now, the point
Unreal.
I'm attempting to make: you're a Red Sox fan from Hingham, Mass, moves to Vermont, but goes down to Florida. You want to continue to follow your beloved Red Sox. You just buy that package for $170, and you're going to get your
About
full
what it would cost me to go to probably one game at Fenway.
exact parking. Tell the fans
parking,
out there
food.
how much parking is around
we
Fenway.
didn't.
Go ahead.
Nobody hit it better than us. Was that 5, 6, 7
Right,
years
but
ago?
it's $60, right, around Fenway?
Is it 60?
Yeah,
Oh, it's
just to put your
paid
vehicle
parking
there.
is so painful.
And
I mean, you can obviously you don't have to do that, but yeah, I guess you can.
and
do
Duke,
it that much.
do the math. If you and I don't mind walking,
Insane.
but say you're a little bit older.
I would no
Okay.
more pay that money.
When last game I went to, of course, you don't mind standing. You bought standing room ticket, and you're fine
I
with
mean,
that.
I'll stand instead of paying.
And I
ton of
told
money.
you I'm not standing. So I bought a ticket at Fenway, paid $120 for it, okay? Well, you couple that with the $60 if I would have paid for it, that's $180. That's more than that baseball package.
Not to mention, if you dared buy a beer or two, you're over $2 bills.
Well, and my funny beer story is I'm roaming around a number of years ago at Fenway, and lo and behold, I see my nephew, my brother Bobby's kid, okay? And he's drinking a beer, and this probably was a half dozen years ago, and I said to him, like, oh, it must be nice to afford paying for a $9 beer.
Yeah.
He goes, hell, $9? This is an $11 Sam Adams beer.
Wow.
Crazy. Now, I enjoy a cold Frosty as much as the next guy, but I have my boundaries.
No, sure.
Like
Would
when
no more do that?
when you and I go to a
Last
sporting
thing we
event to a big city, you and I always eat before the ball game.
Sure.
We're not going to get saddled with a $6 hot dog.
It's insane. I can't wait. Again, as I mentioned, lucky enough to be at the Masters in a few weeks.
Yep.
I can't wait to see the concession prices. I'm sure they'll be, again, last I was here once before in 2001, but I bet they'll still be not crazy. But I can't wait to see what their prices are.
Yeah.
But and the prices are insane.
You know, so with the start of baseball season, as I said, hours away.
Boy, Hockey, I've hardly, again, especially with March Madness, the Celtics story.
Yeah.
You know, I've hardly even thought about baseball.
Let me tell you this. Tomorrow's matchup is the matchup of the whole season. We got Max Scherzer going up against Max Scherzer
really?
won the Cy Young in 2017, going up against the 2018 Cy Young Award winner Jacob deGrom, who just signed a nice extension himself. He's about the same age as Chris Sale. I didn't realize deGrom took him a long time to really develop into a solid pitcher. In the
wow, that's a great matchup.
Yeah.
Where's that game?
That's at Citi Field.
Yeah, New York.
Yeah. So I'll get the.
Sounds like at least a warm enough day. I'm not sure about rain.
Yeah. And wait. Let me take that back. Now that I'm thinking, I think it's in
check
Nats
that?
Park. Yeah, check it,
Against
please.
Washington?
Because I think they said, because I watched the Yankees Nats game the other night.
Yeah.
And I think the announcer said
Where are we?
temps will be in the 60s for Thursday.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, they have an off day on Friday. I don't know why they do that.
The Red Sox always do that when they're in Boston.
And they're talking 72 degrees on Saturday. So my mistake, I do believe they're in Nats Park.
So I think it's Washington.
The Bryce Harper-less Washington Nationals. But,
But that'll be a little weird, huh?
Yeah.
His reception will be interesting. His
Well,
first reception in
their
Washington.
next series, I believe it's against
Oh, really?
Philadelphia, and they play Philadelphia twice in the first 4 series.
No, really. Well, yeah, DeGrom. Boy, you got to think the baseball union's got to be freaked at this point. Telling players, hey, Scott Boras in particular,
Yeah.
so don't even think about signing a contract extension. Wait till you're a free agent.
But Duke, with
Yeah.
all these megastars that
Yeah.
have signed within the last week and a half,
Yeah.
there's not one of them
Yeah.
that you could say, wow, that guy really screwed himself over royally.
No, they're
they were
decent.
all good, legitimate
You
contracts.
threw out DeGrom's number, 137.5 mil, 5-year contract, a deal that guarantees an additional 120.5 over 4 seasons. Oh yeah, no, it's
Fair,
not
fair,
bad
fair
money.
deal. He's a Cy Young Award winner.
Not bad money.
So
See if I have a schedule here for MLB. But I've just given so little thought to baseball so far. Thursday's opening day. Okay, I can. National League. Looks like Washington is indeed at home. 1:05 start against the visiting Mets. Yep,
Yeah.
at home at Washington. Yeah.
So, Duke, I don't or have not given much time to hockey, but we're about a week and a half away
Boy,
to the
pretty
end of
close to
hockey
the
season. Canadians have 5 games left.
What's their situation right now?
I will tell you this.
Hawk behind you.
Great,
Right.
that's a great picture.
Good job, Zach.
I will tell you this. Would I rather be in the Boston Bruins position? Absolutely yes. But being on the brink of not making the playoffs, every game literally feels like the 7th game of the
Are you in right now or not?
Well,
or?
right now, Duke, we're 2 points up on Columbus for the 8th and final
The last
spot,
spot.
which will give us our dubious distinction of playing one of the teams with the greatest regular season
That's in
record of all
Tampa-
time,
Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay.
Wow.
Now, if we make the playoffs, my goal against Tampa, if we can win 2 games,
Yeah.
that'll be like winning
Win a
the Stanley
couple home
Cup.
games, you'd
now,
be happy.
the Montreal Canadiens are playing the hockey game of the year. They're in Columbus, Ohio tomorrow night.
Oh yeah.
So,
Oh wow.
yeah.
Wow, if they win that game, they're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, and again, Columbus has that game at hand.
Oh, they do?
So this is a must.
Wow.
Now, Carey Price. Now the Bruins' success, the goaltending.
Yeah.
Halak has got an ERA goals against a 2.31.
Yeah.
Save percentage of .924. Habs have no backup goaltender. Carey Price, to say he's carried the load is he's played 25 of the last 26 games.
Has he really?
So, I'm not sure if we have a
Wow.
caller
No,
or not.
I
Do we have a
don't-
thumbs up?
I'm
No,
not
I
seeing
doubt
a
it.
thumbs up. Is
So
that-
Carey
is that
Price
right?
is playing MVP type hockey. That's now a game a couple weeks ago. He gave up 8 goals against Anaheim. That kind of skewed his goals against average. But Price, in my opinion, is back to the best goalie.
Huck, I can't.
in the
I
world.
haven't heard of a goalie playing. I can't believe they've played him that much.
Well, their backup goaltender, Nemia, whatever, he won a cup with the Hawks about 8 years ago, and he's been horrible. I don't know much about life, but I will
I'd
guarantee
be a
you
little
this.
concerned about overplaying Carey Price.
Yeah,
They're still
well,
trying
but
to get
they're
the
trying to make
playoffs.
the playoffs. And one thing I will tell you about the playoffs, you do not get more rest during hockey than the playoffs.
Yeah, you get some
Right?
better than the regular season.
Oh, absolutely.
Although they're not crazy. I mean, basketball tends to drive me crazier. Usually it's every other every other
Now,
day.
what the Habs did do is they brought up Charlie Lindgren from the Laval Rocket, their American Hockey League team.
Yeah.
And he's practicing. Carey Price is doing very little when they practice. They're just kind of letting him rest and saving his strength for the games. And he's just playing great. So I'm very pumped for tomorrow night's hockey game.
Wow, sounds like a huge game.
And the Bees, as great as the season that they have,
a bad
there's
loss.
just
A bad
been a
loss
lot
this
of talk in the hockey circles where somebody seems to get screwed every year.
Yeah.
And the Bruins, with the second best record
But they still have Toronto. That's a tough
in the
series.
East Conference, and not only the second best record, but they're tied with the Calgary Flames for the second best record. So the Bruins, ranked second in the conference, has to play number 3 ranked team, which is really weird, the Toronto Leafs.
And if they get past Toronto, then they've got Tampa Bay.
No, I might know because
No?
I'll seed. Let's just say the 4 seeds will win. Tampa 1, Boston 2, Washington 3, and I'll say Pittsburgh 4.
Okay.
I would say Boston's going to play the Capitals in the second
Oh,
round.
really? Okay.
Who's the Stanley Cup champs right now? The Capitals. Okay. Then they would more than likely play the Lightning in the Eastern Conference Finals. Then, so if the Bruins win the Cup this year, I would say more than any season ever, boy, did they deserve it. It is one tough road to hoe to get to the finals.
But boy,
this
tough
year.
loss the other night. 4-2 lead against Tampa Bay. I guess at Tampa in the third period, and they gave up three goals. I guess they were hurting. They had a bunch of injuries, but still, that's a bad loss. They've had a very good.
The only team that can beat Tampa is Boston.
Yeah.
They beat them a few weeks ago.
And should have
The
beaten them
Islanders
the other
were
night.
playing really good hockey.
Yeah.
They met up with the Bruins. Bruins shut them out 5-0. Boston's got a good team, and it was so good, as I mentioned. Yaroslav Halak. It's good to have a guy to push Tuukka Rask. Because Halak has won 20 games himself as quote unquote the backup.
But boy, Toronto, that's no gimme. That's a tough series.
No,
they'll get home ice, which might be the one reason they win it. But Toronto, that's a tough series.
And if you recall last year, the Bruins opened up against Toronto.
Very tough series.
They took a 3-1 lead, which kind of surprised me. Then the Leafs came back, won the next 2 games, and they went to a pivotal 7th game. And I don't remember.
Boston, I guess they had home ice.
Yeah.
No, that's a tough series to start off.
Yeah, and of course the Bruins sport the best line in hockey. The line out in Colorado is a very good line with McKinnon, Landesberg, and I can't remember the other guy. But the Bruins, they're good. This Pasternak is such a gifted player.
Just came back.
Patrice Bergeron, just
some very good young talent. Charlie McAvoy, very good. That's a good team.
McAvoy, BU? He played at BU.
Yep, I think BU definitely won a BU, BC. I think BU.
Yeah.
No, it's a good team.
Yeah. So spring's around the corner. I know it doesn't show, and of course, last night we're into the teens. Last night we're still snow covered, and normal daytime high is 44 degrees. Right
and
now.
Today the high in Burlington was 45.
It was okay.
It sounds like we're getting into warmer weather. Hopefully, boy, I feel bad for sugar makers. It's been cold enough. Probably the first winter to say that for a while. It's been a very slow start to sugaring.
Yeah.
Just because it's been so cold. I hope in the next week or two, those folks. I was at a sugar house in Franklin over the weekend, and the sap was running impressively on Saturday.
Yeah, they had a great year last year. The weather was just perfect for them. This year, not so good.
Oh, speaking of hockey, I wish I had.
By the way, 60 degrees on Saturday. We're supposed to.
I heard a reference to possible 60.
And rain, but
I had I had the chart of the Frozen Four in front of me yesterday, which of course I didn't bring.
I didn't bring it. With me.
I saw one reference on the chart I had. It had UMass Lowell on just a line of teams that had UMass.
I should have done it.
I assume the UMass Lowell is accurate, but wasn't UMass about the best team?
Amherst was ranked 3rd in the country before the playoffs.
I hate that. I saw discrepancy
my fault
of
for
info.
not running a copy.
I think it's UMass Lowell, either UMass Amherst or UMass Lowell against Harvard in a first-round game. Clarkson's in there. Neither BC or BU's in there. Northeastern is in. Those are some of the Eastern teams.
Of course, I diverted all my attention to Norwich. Of course, I had my Norwich jersey.
Oh, boy,
your brother, a graduate of Norwich,
absolutely.
1960.
Circa 65.
65. So, as I said.
And actually another Norwich, as we think about it, John Haynes. Did you have John Haynes, a longtime BFA teacher?
Passed away a couple weeks ago.
He was
a
Norwich
grad?
guy.
I did not know that. I had him for a teacher.
In fact, he was definitely a Norwich guy.
Did not know that. Boy, he doesn't seem the military kind of guy.
Yeah, and I guess he was a Norwich guy.
But of course, you go down to Norwich now, it's pretty much a 50-50 split between regular Joes and cadets down there, and they financially had to do that, or the institution would not have stayed open.
So again, boy, the finals, Division 3 finals against
Duke,
Wisconsin, Stevens Point.
I had the pleasure. They got a first round bye so they got into the Frozen Four. But I was down there to see them beat Suffolk, which is in Boston, 1-0. They beat Batson 5-3, empty net goal. Hobart 2-1. University of New England and Portland, Maine, 2-1. Then at the Final Four, they beat the then number 2 ranked Geneseo from Western New York, 4-2 empty net goal. Then they lost to Stevens Point, that went undefeated this year. I think they ended the season
2 ties, I think.
like 30 wins, 0 losses, and 2 ties.
And a couple times. Wow,
And
that's impressive.
the Cadets were dead. I've never seen them play so poorly in the third period.
Oh,
It
is that
wasn't
right?
a question would Norwich lose. It was a matter of when.
Is that right?
And yeah, but so Norwich ends the season ranked number 2 in the country.
Wow.
And the thing about this, and I know it gets very little press up here. But it's one of the great programs in the country.
And kudos. You said you're such a great fan. That's unreal, the attention you give those guys. And a nice Kreuzberg arena, a nice arena.
Yeah, very. If you feel like you're a hockey arena. It's 21 years old now, but it feels very old school in there. They lose Hall of Fame coach Mike Machine. They bring in Cam Ellsworth, who was the assistant for UMass Lowell for a number of years. And certainly Norwich never rebuilds, but they only had 2 seniors on the team.
Really?
And one of them rarely dressed. It was a Vermont kid.
Really?
The other senior was a captain of the team. So I didn't expect much, knew they were going to be a good team. This was just a miracle year. To think that everybody's coming back but one player next year
Sounds like a great
is
team.
mind-boggling. And once the preseason rankings come out, I fully expect them to be number 1. Their goaltender is a junior, is a kid from Paris, France.
Really?
Thomas O'Boone or something like that. So very exciting. And again, Duke, it's all about comfort. It's just such a great place.
Huck, I'd like to think next year. You're such a fan. I'd love to, if you have room, I'd love to do a Norwich trip with you.
And if you enjoy eating, $11.50 to eat in the Norwich cafeteria.
Oh, is that right? That'd be cool.
Nice
Easy
spread.
to think of my bro. That'd be a nice thing to do.
And they have a great creamy machine in there too. There's not a better way to end a meal.
No, I'd love. That'd be great for me to. Like I said, I finally caught an EVM basketball game this year, in courtesy of you. The last. So the gut. Do we know? Is there actually work going on at the gut?
I can't tell you, and I probably should call the athletic department.
But presumably, it's happening pretty quickly here.
I would think that they're gutting the gut, pun intended, like right now. But I'll give them a buzz down there. So, well, you mentioned the Celtics earlier.
Boy.
And if you want to slap me in the face and say, Nighthawk, you're an idiot. And again, I still remember being on the golf course with you. You say, how do you think Celtics are going to do? And I said to you, Dude, what's the point of even playing the season? You know the Celtics are going to win the East. You know the Warriors are going to win the West. Why even play the season out?
And I recall a spirited conversation I had with one of our top callers about that. When I said, don't assume anything, and the caller said, hey, come on, this is a great team. I'll assume whatever.
Yeah.
This is...
they just won the other night by 10 points against
Cleveland.
Second worst team in basketball, Cleveland, who's kind of tanking.
And I love Kyrie telling Brad Stevens how he did a poor job defending Kemba Walker the other night.
Yes.
That was a horrible loss.
Yes, against the Hornets. We were ahead on that game.
So what do you make of the Celtics? I mean, this is just what a mess. And I love one of the sports talk shows, they were saying, is it likelier the Celtics will get to the Eastern Conference Finals or lose in the first round against Indiana, presumably?
Yeah.
And they all said, likelier they'll get to the finals. I'm saying I don't think that's likelier at all. I would pick losing in the first round myself.
Dude, what happened to Indiana, and I can't think of his name, the best player of the team a few weeks ago.
The weird name, Idiapo.
Yeah, went down with an injury. So right now, as we speak, Celtics are a game and a half behind Indiana for the fourth and home. That's
and
the team we'll be
twice.
playing.
Yeah, I assume home and home.
Yeah, so that's the team we need to beat and get the home field or home court advantage. But I will tell you this, it's been a shocking season.
Nothing.
And I've told somebody today, if I know I have a bad team, like, let's see, the New York Giants. I know before the season we're bad. I don't expect many victories. I can deal with it. I expected the Celtics to win like 60 games this year.
Yeah.
I mean, this was just a powerhouse team. And if I may borrow a movie phrase starring, what's that guy's name? He was the bartender on Cheers.
I can picture him.
Blonde-haired.
Of course, not a show I ever watched.
Oh, geez, boy, don't get old, man. Well, Wesley Snipes was in it. The name of the movie was White Men Can't Jump.
Oh, yeah.
So that aptly applies to Gordon Hayward. For a guy making $30 million a year, this guy, if I'm being generous tonight, is an average ball player at best.
And this is just injury? Would you?
David Handy here.
How would you have described him before his injury?
Well, part of the
better than average.
Well,
I
here's
assume?
the deal, and one thing I've learned about basketball.
Yeah.
There's a big difference when you're the man, which he was in Utah, versus being a supporting role. Like a Kyrie Irving did not like being the supporting role in Cleveland.
Yeah.
He wanted to be the man in Boston.
Yeah.
Well, he came to Boston. Now we're finding out, great player, but he lacked leadership quality. And again, I say it every week in the show. The megastar to me is not him just being a good player, but making, regardless of what sport, every player around you a better player.
Here we have a call.
Good evening. Long time coming, but you are the first caller tonight on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County.
Woody Harrelson.
Hello?
Give us that name again.
Woody Harrelson.
Hi, Woody Harrelson.
It's funny, I almost said Woody Harrelson, but I thought it was wrong.
well, thank you. So it was
thanks a lot.
Woody Harrelson. By the way,
It's funny, I almost mentioned his name.
what a great movie career Woody Harrelson's had.
He's actually in another movie that sounds actually pretty good, The Highwaymen. You hip to that at all?
I have not heard.
That's just out now.
Okay.
And I'm trying to think who the co-star is.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's the two guys who brought down Bonnie and Clyde, I guess.
Okay.
But it sounds like kind of a fun movie.
Yeah.
The other stars are Biggie too, and I'm spacing out. I did see, speaking of movies quickly, took the kid, we finally saw Apollo 11 last night, as in getting to the moon. Just some great archival footage.
Oh, that came out last year with...
Well, there was another movie last. I think you're thinking of another movie. This is just basically documentary, just all archival film.
But that
somebody
movie
had misplaced.
Was it Ryan Gosling in the movie that came out last fall?
Yeah, there was another.
Yeah, I can't remember the title.
That got criticized because they didn't show them putting up the flag.
Exactly.
This
That turned
is just
into
total documentary.
a flop. Nobody went to see the movie.
But this is pretty. Cool.
I'd rather see the documentary.
Funny, I read a 7 Days review. Rick Kasanek's your main movie guy. He just raved about it. Then I happened to read the review in the New Yorker. They totally trashed it. It was kind of in between, but I thought it was good for my kid. But I forget. That was for me. I'm back from Duke after my first year. Chappaquiddick happened at about the same moment.
Yes.
But I feel like I was distracted, but what an effort. But this was just archival stuff. A lot of Walter Cronkite voiceovers, and just showing the fans lined up down on the Space Coast. But it was a good flick.
That was the thing. I mean, we beat the Russians to the moon. Of course, JFK.
They, right at the end of the movie, they gave about 2 minutes of his
during a speech,
ending up, "We will put a man on the moon this decade."
But I just remember '69. I was 11. The fight for the major headline, Man on the Moon or Teddy Kennedy with this girl, or
poor Mary Jo Kopechne
off the bridge.
Dyke Bridge.
Right.
Chappaquiddick, Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah. So July
actually,
20...
Fox had there. Have you seen any? Scandalous. I actually saw the Chappaquiddick ones. Good show.
I saw a couple, and I'm watching now the trial of the Kennedy.
In fact, William
Kennedy Smith. Yeah.
I saw the first part, and I haven't seen the second part.
Yeah, the second part, and the third part was preempted the other night for the Mueller report. So I'm hoping they're going to show the rest. But July 20th, to make you feel old, I remember the day very well, 1969.
Yeah, you got it.
50 years. Now, I had the pleasure last summer, with my daughter and son-in-law and my wife going to NASA at Port Canaveral.
Is that right? Never had my kid there about 5 years ago.
Yeah, never. Very interesting place.
Yeah, I wanted to do the bus tour, and Ian wouldn't do it then, but we had a good time. But that's good flick. But and Neil Armstrong, talk about a humble. Didn't we lose Neil within the last year or so?
No, it's been about 5-6 years. He's been gone for a while.
Long?
Now,
but sounds like just a tremendous guy.
We talked about David Price and Chris Sale about opposites. Well, Edwin Buzz Aldrin could not get enough
is that right?
press. He's still alive, actually.
Huh. And then, of course, Michael Collins, the guy who was didn't get to.
Right.
But it was a fun. I mean, just if you're into history, it was a good movie for my kid to see.
Well, when I look back at the 60s, I mean, what dominated the news, obviously, number one was
Of
Vietnam.
course, Vietnam.
But number two,
crazy then,
NASA was in the news constantly. There were space missions
And
every
Walter
4
Cronkite
months.
loved the space program.
Oh,
that
he loved it.
That didn't hurt.
And his color man was Wally Schirra,
Yeah.
who was a former astronaut.
I heard
himself.
one reference last night to Chris Kraft, who was always at Cape Canaveral, one of the guys, whatever. But it was fun just seeing the, tons of, there was maybe one or two black guys, one or two women, but just obviously a ton of, but it was just fun. It was a fun movie.
Yeah, and I remember the first guy in space was Alan Shepard, first guy to orbit
And can
the
you
Earth.
tell me where Alan's out of? He has something in common with you, Nighthawk.
Alan
He is a
Shepard?
fellow
He's not from Franklin
fellow
County.
northern New Englander, Derry, New Hampshire.
Oh, you
New
always go
Englander.
through Derry on your way to
Sure. Oh, yeah,
Boston.
he's a New Hampshire guy.
Oh, I did not know that.
The suborbital flight,
Yep.
Alan Shepard.
So John Glenn, the first guy to orbit, first man walking in space was Ed White.
No, you're ahead of me. You're doing
Yep.
better than me.
And of course, 1967 in training when the explosion.
Oh, geez,
I think Ed White was part of that. Gus Grissom.
Gus Grissom.
And boy, I can't believe I remember this. Chaffee. I can't remember his first
yeah.
name.
No, you're doing better than
it was
me.
an oxygen fire, bang, just like that, and they boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, but that was
Yep,
so.
it's a danger. Here's a
and of
stat.
course, too, Duke. It was one thing going to the moon to look at moon rocks and stuff,
Yeah.
but let's be honest, it was all about beating the Ruskies up there.
I guess so. After the people totally freaking out with the 50s, Sputnik and stuff, and Yuri Gagarin getting up there.
Well, you remember who was, and I can't remember this. That's a good trivia question. What was the name of the dog? The first person in space was a dog, a Russian dog.
Oh, is that right?
And I can't remember the dog's name.
No, I'm not can't help you there.
So,
But that was fun. Let me mention just while Ian and I caught the movie, then I hit a restaurant in Burlington that I hadn't hit in 10 plus years. I love fried clams, as in bellies. We're not, of course, talking clam strips.
right.
And of course, they have a monthly special. I see the ads all the time, but we did make it a seafood shanty, which is a really nice restaurant.
Is that right on the lake?
Battery Street, looking
Yeah.
out. It was dark
Yeah.
then, but a fine meal. So we had a good night. Had a good night.
Yeah.
But it's funny. I almost mentioned Woody Harrelson there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You as a Patriots fan, not shocking nor surprising news. He certainly hinted.
Not shocking.
Gronkowski.
Talk about going out on top.
Yeah. Now, Duke, I didn't look up his numbers. He definitely was, if not the best, one of the top two tight ends during the period.
Yeah.
His
you're
only
concerned
problem
about just not enough time.
getting the gold jacket at Canton, Ohio, is does he really have the numbers?
Huh.
Now,
Boy,
what's going
I
for
haven't-
what's going for him, of course, is Super Bowl rings,
Yeah.
and there's probably not a more likable guy out there. Kept his nose clean all the time.
The one thing he did, I forgot, is maybe the one, and again, everybody has their moments. The spearing thing, remember when the guy, whoever it was down, and was it a playoff game? And did Gronk just did something
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
But in general, yeah, a real likable guy.
And I
That
still
doesn't hurt.
remember him in an interview saying he is not spent a nickel of his
That's a
salary.
line,
He
right.
said all his commercial money and stuff like that
Yeah.
is what he lives on. I think he drives an old beat up pickup truck.
All right.
But
No, you got to like Gronk.
I just said it's not shocking nor surprising he retired. Nor will I be shocked or surprised come August he decides he wants to come back and play. But my guess is
You caught what his Drew Rosenhaus?
Yeah.
Was quick to say, you never know.
But I think he
think
has
he's
a
gone.
future in Hollywood.
Yeah,
just
could be.
because he does have that likability factor.
Yeah.
Now, Duke, I mentioned to you months ago after the Super Bowl
Yeah.
that the Patriots, and I know people hate talking mock draft in football, and I get it, but I told you from day one, tight end out of Iowa, Noah Fant.
Noah
Fant or
Fant?
Font-
I think it's Fant or Font.
Okay, this guy's extremely, and there's another
And
tight end.
the number
There
two
are
guys out of Iowa too, right?
Right,
Two
he's
Hawkeyes.
actually Hawkinson, I think, or something of that nature. Both play for the same team. He's number
That's
one.
unreal.
He's number two. He's a more old school blocking type tight end, but
But both these guys will go. The Patriots are going to
they're all
have to
they're
draft
both
up
number
or
one.
they're
pick.
both
now,
gone.
initially, with the Patriots picking that familiar spot, number
Yeah,
32, which every team in the world would love
Although they
to pick
do have,
32.
I think, 6 picks of the top of the first 102, I think.
So, my guess is right now, and I would do it if I was Belichick,
Yeah.
they may have to move up
Yeah.
10, 12 spots if they really want to get this tight end.
Yeah.
Because this kid's got superstardom written all over him. And of course, Tom Brady's always been extremely dependent on his tight end,
Yeah.
the type of ball he plays. So,
Brady's comment about Gronk was one tweet. Maybe he had a lot of comments, but hey, the NFL was a better place with you, Gronk.
oh,
Thanks.
absolutely, yeah.
No, real likable guy, and good. Hey, good for him.
Oh.
Jeez, like I said, money seems like he's in great shape.
He still can
He's
walk.
got all kinds of stuff he can do.
He got banged up a lot, but he still
and
appears
again,
like,
going out on top. He makes a key catch in the Super Bowl at the
Yeah.
end of the game. But
Yeah.
thanks, Rock. Patriots fans, we're so lucky to have you
Yeah.
for some of 9 seasons.
Now, Leonard Parent emailed me a couple days ago with the Giants with a number 6 overall pick. And
Wow.
he told me it's going to be Drew Lock, quarterback out of Missouri.
Really?
Wrong.
Huh.
I will say what I said last week.
Yeah.
Rashawn Gary, defensive end out of Michigan.
Who's extremely highly touted. I
Very,
assume. Out of
they say
Michigan?
he may have the biggest upside of the defenders coming into the draft here. Now, it's easy to sit here and go through the draft, but you know what happens on draft day?
Yeah.
Trades galore. And,
Yeah.
it's pretty much a given that Kyler Murray will be picked by Arizona, first overall pick, after they used their 10th overall pick last year on UCLA quarterback Josh Rosen. But the new coach, Kingsbury, is in love with Murray, just in love with him. That's his boy. That's who he wants to have on his team. Rosen, I thought, might have garnered a first-round pick, but from what I read and hear,
Yeah.
perhaps if the Giants really wanted a quarterback, could get him with their second-round pick, which is still a pretty high pick, number 37 overall. I'm just not sure what the Giants would do in that position. But I'd rather get Rosen at that spot. Now, of course, the Giants have a 17th overall pick they got in the
Oh,
Beckham
really?
trade.
Wow.
Now, Daniel
Wow, that's not
Jones
too
will be
shabby.
available. And the old saying about a quarterback, if you really want the guy,
Yeah.
forget what position you're picking. He may be rated bottom of the first round.
Yeah.
But if you really want him, it's worth to pick him 10 picks earlier.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they think he's going to slide down to number 37,
And that's their third pick.
that would
37?
would be the third pick. Me thinks
Well, I'd say that's taking a chance
Drew,
if they want this guy.
Right. They want Daniel Jones.
So would you like him at 7? Would you like him at 17?
I would rather have Drew Lock. I have Jones ranked third, and I don't even. I have Haskins 1.
Boy, it's a pretty thin QB
I don't.
class,
I don't
huh?
have Murray's too small for me.
Yeah.
Now I realize it's the new NFL, and I may be a dinosaur, and I don't see the greatness in Kyler Murray, so it'll be probably easy to prove me wrong. But there's no great quarterback coming out that you pick them. You've got a future Hall of Famer, just not happening this year. Of course, next year's draft, everybody's number 1 pick this year until this kid's really good. Justin Herbert, who I talked about all fall, all autumn, out of Washington, is it Oregon?
Is it Oregon?
I think Oregon. But he loves college so
Oregon,
much.
I think.
He lived, I think, 6 blocks away from the football stadium growing up.
Really?
Always wanted to play for his local college team. He's back. If he has any semblance of play that he had this past year, he'll be the number 1 pick. And the kid, I have issues pronouncing names, the quarterback from Alabama. I think he's from Hawaii.
Right, the Hawaii guy.
With many syllables in his last name. He could very easily be the number 2 pick, or they could switch 1 and 2. It's going to be a very rich, highly talented draft class.
When are we?
next
We're
year.
talking like a month or so? We're talking late April?
Last weekend of April. Starts, I believe, Thursday night. One
Unfortunately
round.
for you, you're past tax season.
I will be in
Oh, but
Europe.
you'll be-
I'll be in Europe.
You'll be far
when
away.
and that's the irony of all this.
I'm almost surprised you don't wait for the draft to do that trip.
I would be embarrassed to tell you how I've cut back on hours because I know you, and you're not the only guy. You'd say something like, "Are you ridiculous spending that much time on the draft?" Like I recorded last night on the NFL Network, NFL mock draft every week when their experts go through.
So where do they have Jones at this point? Late first round. Any particular teams that they really think will go after him?
Giants being one, but he's kind of like the big question mark.
Yeah.
People really don't know what they're getting out of Jones. He could
and it
turn
was
out,
erratic. I mean, I saw him enough.
Well, the problem
erratic.
is the Duke football team, even though they won some games this year, it was because of Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
He's that good of a college quarterback. Duke didn't really have a great football team
Yeah,
this year.
not a great team.
So, you know, and again, I'm at the point of almost being stupid because again, there's just going to be so many trades going on. Washington wants quarterback. I can expect the Washington Redskins, and I think they pick 10th or 12th, moving up to the number 3 position where the Jets hold, and the Jets would love to move down. Jets are a horrible team. They picked Sam Darnold out of Southern Cal last year with the 3rd overall pick. If you remember, the Giants had the 2nd pick, took Saquon Barkley, and the Jets couldn't believe it. Oh my God, we got the number 1 quarterback in the draft, Darnold.
Yeah.
And he showed flashes.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people think he'll be a pretty good quarterback.
But what the Giants really want to do, if they do, in fact, and I think they will get a quarterback, is let him sit behind Manning. Now, there's a kid that plays for the Kansas City Chiefs that you might have heard of, Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he sat 1 year behind a slightly better than average quarterback, Alex Smith.
Yeah.
And you actually can learn a lot about football by not playing, just learning the game.
Yeah.
And of course, Mahomes kind of revolutionized the game,
Yeah.
the new breed out there.
I'll never forget the one pass he threw again in the Patsy in their postseason game. Looked like he was going to be sacked. I thought they got him, and it was just a claim. He just went sidearm and made a great sidearm pass.
Yeah, and of course his father, I remember pitching for the Minnesota Twins, Patrick Sr., I believe, and he was a decent major league pitcher. You know, hung around for 10 years. So that's it. Well, listen, I would be remiss.
Feel free to call, folks. We're having a good time. Nighthawk's always great company, but feel free to check in.
Golf, I have an actual question for you. Of course,
a little
what
bit
are
of
we?
the tournament
We're
today.
2 weeks from the Masters.
The Masters is going to be I'll give you April 11th. So we're talking 2 weeks from tomorrow for the Masters.
So right now, there's a tournament for the non-superstars.
What is it, Dell Technologies or something? Oh no, you're not talking about the match play.
The Corliss, and I can't pronounce the name. It's in the Dominican.
Oh, really?
But you got the WGC Dell Technologies match play.
It started today. I watched a little bit
I'm
of
not
it.
overly familiar. Like, you tell me, Duke.
It's a different. I guess they started it a few years ago.
Invited? Is it the top?
Oh no, it was absolutely top
players?
64 in rankings.
The top 64.
Oh, sure. Absolutely right by
Okay,
the.
so let me ask you this. Say number 48 has got a bum knee, can't show. Do they ask number 65
sure.
to show?
Absolutely.
Is that how it works?
They go right by the book with us.
Yeah. Now, I know you enjoy watching match play.
I did. I watched about 10, 15 minutes today. But what they were doing for a while was it was kind of, just like March Madness. Hey, you lose, you're gone. Mm-hmm. But then they now have group. It's like a round robin. So everybody played today. Will play tomorrow and Friday. Then it gets down to, I guess the final 16 for the weekend. Anyway, but I love match play. But I read a story today saying a lot of the players like it. It's a nice change.
Did Tiger play today?
Tiger played. I saw Tiger a little.
Against
He
whom?
was 2 up against Aaron Wise, who was the Rookie of the Year in the PGA. Decent young player. Tiger was 2 up at some point.
Okay.
Is that a call, Zach?
Is that a call or is that a no? No
call.
That means no. Yes.
Oh, it is
there
a
is
call.
a call. Good evening. You're on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. Hello.
Hey guys, how we doing?
Hey, thanks for checking in. We're okay.
You get a late start tonight?
We
did not know we were on the air.
6:30.
Were you looking for us at 6:30?
Yeah.
And you
Yeah,
didn't.
they had the same show
What?
that was playing on 16, playing on 15.
Did you hear that, Zach?
Zach, are you monitoring this conversation?
And caller, how many minutes was? Geez, people, I did my best work ever in 17 years.
I had about 5 minutes, and I went and did something else, and watched the recorded Curse of Oak Island, and
Okay.
that ended. And I said, I'll flip back to 15 for the heck of it, and boom, there you are.
Now,
That's news to us. But hey, thanks for not giving up on us.
now Oak Island, that's in the Maritimes.
Yeah, near Nova Scotia.
Yeah, I think I drove.
I've caught a little bit.
I drove past Oak Island this past summer.
Bobby, is that a Vikings reference, or the Vikings have anything to do with that, or not?
Well, there's been coins found and other artifacts from the Vikings, from this herd and that herd, and treasure buried by people. And my wife and I have been watching this for a couple years. It's actually pretty good. It's kind of drawn out a little bit, but supposedly, back in the 1500s, the Crusaders came over here and had hidden treasure, and they buried it on this island, and they built all these flood tunnels that if you got down in the ground, deep down where treasures are, these flood tunnels would open and just drown the whole area out underground. It's really unique, the technology that people had way back then. I think they were much smarter than us in the simple fact that everything they had to do every day, they had to really use their heads, where today things are done for us. We've kind of, I think in a lot of cases, lost our, instincts of how to take care of ourselves.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of that.
But,
That looks like kind of a fun show.
Now, caller, I've been to the Maritimes a few times.
You're a better person than me.
And I'm telling you, there's not a more beautiful spot on earth than the Maritimes.
Tell me what one of my biggest embarrassments in life. I've never set foot there. Pathetic.
Well, I remember the first time I went there, and I told my wife, I used the analogy of sometimes you're so close to the forest you can't see the trees. It's not like the Maritimes are that far away from us.
No, it's pathetic.
And I'm telling you, one of the most beautiful spots on earth is Bar Harbor, Maine. Oh,
I have been to Bar Acadia one time.
Yeah,
nice terrain.
Yep.
Good terrain. So you psyched about
Did you go
baseball?
on a cruise out from there a couple years ago?
Yeah, one of the good things is I would start.
Oh, you stopped. You guys stopped in Bar Harbor, right?
Yeah, you start in Montreal, so you literally sleep in your own bed, eat your own breakfast. You're in the port of Montreal, an hour from your house.
I think the Port of Montreal is not far from the baseball stadium site, I think.
Okay. It's just no airports, don't have to pay for plane tickets. And what we did one year is it's a 1-week cruise, Montreal to Boston.
That's a cruise I could deal with.
But we did it for 2 consecutive
right.
weeks.
So you
we
came
revisited the places, but I had never been there before, so I did different things.
So you came right back on the same ship, or?
Yeah, I went from Montreal to Boston.
And then Boston back to
Then I
Montreal.
went whale watching, which was incredible. Then I went from Boston back to Montreal. My daughter picked me up.
On the same ship.
Yes, my daughter picked me up, and I got to the Missisquoi baseball field.
Really?
In the top of the second inning. Here I was, just on a big ship.
Wow.
And I make it. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, big time. So baseball season tomorrow.
I hope the high schools get out on the baseball field shortly.
Well,
it will be April Monday.
Yeah, I've been a proponent of putting baseball season during the fall schedule.
Of course, golf. They finally did that with golf.
Yeah, they did that golf.
Yeah, it sounds like warmer.
What would you do with football?
I would move that, like right now, today was 44 degrees and sunny?
Yeah.
Tell me if it was not a perfect day for football today.
Yeah.
No, it would be a great day for football. It would just seem nearly impossible for everybody to be on board with that.
Yeah.
Well,
Would you? Are you saying you'd want to move football?
I would
season?
move football to the spring season.
Really?
This is football weather right now that we're going through.
Interesting.
And I would do baseball start in the middle of August and get them done by the 1st of October.
And so you'd move football season,
Listen, I
right?
have been to Missisquoi games where I'm literally, and I'm not kidding you, wearing my New York Giants winter jacket. I'm wearing a Fox hat, gloves, a blanket on top of me with snow flurries.
Yeah. But isn't that kind of...
Yeah, the problem is, too, you get rain-out games, and you know, in high school, it's not like you're loaded with good pitchers.
No,
and, you know, you have limited amount of innings. If you've got makeup games to do, you know, you're really, in a lot of cases, not going through the motions, but, you know, playing not the way you want to play. You know, you like your game spaced apart, go with your two best pitchers, and, you know, it kind of brings hardships on the teams. You know, it's a rough time of year to play up here.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now, are you getting excited about your Nats? I looked at their lineup the other night, and it looked like pretty much an opening day lineup. And see, Robles, he was batting in the high 300s and something.
Yeah, he had a good spring, but
Soda, I think, was batting near 400.
Yeah, I think Victor Robles, along with Fernando Tatis.
Is that pronounced Robles? It's Robles.
Yeah, Victor Robles from the Dominican Republic. The three outstanding rookies in the National League, Fernando Tatis Jr., of course, I remember watching his father play with the Cardinals.
Which is on the opening day roster.
He did make the opening day roster?
Yes, he did.
Okay, because I thought they were going to hold him out to get another year out of him. And another.
Well, you know what you might find with him in the near future is one of these early contracts.
Okay, yep. And Nick Senzel, remember that name from the Cincinnati Reds. He's going to be a really good rookie. But Robles' collar appears that he's going to be batting ninth, where Dave Martinez will bat the pitcher eighth. And Robles is super fast. The best way to describe him is he's a young Andrew McCutchen. And, of course, you got Adam Eaton and Trey Turner, the number 1 and 2 guys. So...
yeah, they looked pretty well packed. You know, you're kind of blessed with some power and speed there. It's well blended. You know, I looked through the lineup, and it wasn't like, no Harper in here. Yeah. You know, his slot was filled very well.
Yeah, and another player to watch out for, formerly the best second baseman in the American League when he was with the Twinkies, is Brian Dozier. He had an injury-riddled year last year, got traded to the Dodgers, didn't perform all that well. But here's a guy that was routinely, I believe, hitting like 30 home runs a year for like 5 years in a row.
Yeah, and he can run as well. He can steal 20 bases a year.
Yeah,
I had him on my roto teams many of years. Yeah. And that's when really the Twins were not that good, and he batted leadoff hitter most of the time, and he still knocked in 75 runs.
Yeah.
But, you know, the good thing about him, you can put him anywheres in your lineup, and he'll fit. He can, like I said, he can run, he can hit for power, so wherever he's penciled in, he should be effective.
Yeah. So, caller, without thinking, I need an answer right away. Who's going to win the AL East?
Oh, I don't know. I couldn't be honest. It's, again, the Yankees and Red Sox. We could sit here 6 hours and discuss it, and, you know, each side would have a very, very good discussion, argument, if you will. I just don't know. I'd like to say Red Sox, but I guess kind of feel the same way I did last year. Yeah. They're so close. They match up so well. You know, being a Red Sox fan, I can say Red Sox, but Yankees are loaded too.
Yeah. We talked early in the show that apparently he didn't make it to the airways. Craig Kimbrell. I mean, is he in the back of a milk carton right now? I mean, has there been a sighting of this guy? I've read nothing in the past 10 days on him.
Well, I guess Milwaukee had lost somebody in the bullpen, and Milwaukee had been talking with them, but I'm sure his agent is telling him, no, you're not going to go in for this. That's not good money. Wait, sit it out. But a guy like Kuchel can kind of do that. But when you're a guy like Kimbrel, in my opinion, going down the other side of the hill a little bit, sitting out a year is only going to devalue you. It's not like last year, he was one of the best in the business. So I kind of think this is going to hurt him.
Yeah. I told Duke in the beginning I wouldn't mind Washington signing him, but if we did, and I'm telling a fair contract, just give him 3 years, $30 million. He'll have to live off a paltry $10 million a year. Mm-hmm. But if we did sign him, that would put us over the cap, and the ownership they've done that for the last couple of years. They don't want to do it again. But Kimbrel's in trouble. I'm more surprised that Dallas Keuchel did not get signed by anyone.
God, a good starting pitcher.
He would make a number 3 guy for a team out there.
That's stunning. That's stunning.
And again, Philadelphia needs another good starting pitcher, and I'm shocked.
Well, Keuchel, he the last couple years he's been going the other way a little bit, and this is what I think your GMs are looking at. I'd rather pay a little more getting a pitcher on the rise than paying big money and getting one on the decline, because I think, if Keuchel said, give me 2 years, $45 million, I think somebody would sign him, but I'm sure his agent is saying, take no less than 5 years, you've got to take care of yourself. So, I think this is why these guys are still out there.
Here's a perfect example. 2 of the very, very, very best pitchers in baseball, Jacob deGrom and Chris Sale, very best pitchers. They only signed a 5-year contract. So that shows me that a starting pitcher isn't going to get more than 5 years. I'm not sure if Chris Sale was banging in the heads of the Red Sox brass, but I told Duke right at the beginning is that was a fair deal for both sides. 5 years.
Oh, I thought so, and I think Chris Sale, he loved it there so much. He was happy with the money he made. Yeah. Chris Sale is one heck of a nice guy. He's a great example for baseball. I love the guy to death. Well, he got it done. This deal was not done, in the newspaper or on TV or on the radio.
Yeah.
It was very professional. Yeah. And Verlander, an example, he only got a 2-year deal. And I mean, this guy, he's the Tom Brady of baseball,
Now, he got, 2 years, 66?
Yeah.
I mean, so he's getting more on average per season for those 2 years than Chris Sale. Verlander's had a nice resurrection in Houston, but Chris Sale is still a better pitcher than Verlander. But I was telling Duke caller.
Yeah, Chris Sale, and like I said, he's such a nice guy. But Verlander is too, and I think with Verlander, he can pitch. He, again, as I like to use that, he's got that big, thick body that can absorb, pitching, the violent throwing. And I think Verlander, who knows, maybe after 2 years he's going to say, I had enough of this. I've got a very pretty woman at home I'd like to spend a little bit of time with.
You think? Is he married to Kate Upton?
Yes.
Yeah. One of the former most famous models of all time.
Right. Yeah. Probably another thing about Sale, which I'm sure you know, he lives in Fort Myers, so it gives him a tremendous break. I read that he was able to catch a bunch of his kids' ball games, this late winter, early spring, so it just gives him another month or 2 on the home front with the Red Sox training there. So, but yeah, he's been a great fit with Boston. I think that was a very good deal.
And let me give you another example about Chris Sale. And I told the Duke, I would have went into negotiations like this. This is going to be a 30-second negotiation. David Price is getting $31 a year. I'm better than David Price. So I want 32 a year for 5 years, 160, and let's shake on it. But Chris Sale created absolutely no controversy. Chris Sale probably scratched his whiskers on his chin, said, I probably could make it on 29 a year. And like you said, caller, was rated no media coverage whatsoever. I bet that conversation didn't last more than 5 minutes.
Right. I bet you're right.
Yeah. So, and again, the only...
And I think it went 5 years, too, because they kind of, in essence, owed him a little bit for the last 2 years when he was making
you could make that
not
case.
big money. So they kind of owed him a little favor as well.
This contract technically is an extension because he has to survive this season on $15 million, which is going to be tough. He'll probably have to order off the value menu. But boy, hang on here. My thought. I lost my thought. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he'll get by okay. And, he's a type, too, that knows what to do with his money.
Yeah.
Another guy jumping sports a little bit, Gronk retiring, and they said there was nobody thriftier with their money than Gronk,
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I mentioned
I see Chris Sale as being the same type person, He'll be fine, and the guy loves to play baseball. There's still, thank God, a lot of people out there that is still there for the game,
Yeah.
But I'm excited. It's baseball time, and it looks like a pretty good division, and Tampa Bay has certainly helped themselves this past year, and they'll be right there again. We forget that they won 90 games last year quietly, and they've added Charlie Martin for a pitcher. They added a little bullpen. They've got Diaz, a platooning player from Cleveland, and they're there. They've got some winning in their systems last year, and I think they'll be a little better this year.
And of course, Kevin Cash, if I remember correctly, won Manager of the Year.
Certainly should have.
He took the Nighthawks' advice that I've been espousing 10 years ago about the opener, and that turned out to be highly successful for him. Where
90 wins, unreal.
Sports are a copycat league, whatever is successful. And you're going to see more teams going with the opener this year.
Yeah, they got their two top starters are as good as any two in baseball. Then they go, usually the third game or fourth, they go to that platooning. They got a guy named like Yarborough or something.
Yeah.
He's good for 4 or 5 innings a year, and he had a very low ERA, and I think he won 15 games last year.
Yeah.
And they had, Alvarez, I think, for a closer over there. But they have a kid, Wendell, that plays multi-positions in the infield. And, they're just a scrappy team that keep coming at you. And that's playing in a tough division. So they are a very good team. And I'm looking kind of forward to watching the Twins this year. They retooled. And as I said, I don't know, maybe a month ago, 3 weeks ago, you watch the number of home runs these guys hit. They've got some sluggers on that team. And like I said before, it's hard to load up with good pitching on a budget. Yeah. So, if you can't do that, you take the other route, get yourself a nice men's softball team, and, try to outslug it with people. Yeah. And I figure Cleveland to win the division, but Minnesota in second place, and these two teams will feast off that weak division.
Yeah.
So there'll be a lot of wins for both teams.
So, caller, quick question. If you had to put $100 on the table right now in bet, would either Kimbrel or Kutchel be signed before May 1st? Yes or no?
Yeah, they probably won't. Both will be.
Yeah, that's the right thing, too.
But again, I think Kutchel will be an easier sign. I think Kimbrel, in my opinion, and I don't know a whole lot, but I think he's getting bad advice from his agent. Yeah. And, his agent may be saying you've got to do this for the sake of the whole union,
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I remember.
like I said, he was slumping. He had a tough year, and Kimbrel's another real nice guy. I liked him. He's never been a problem, but he's just so erratic.
Yeah.
You know.
I remember what I wanted to tell you. Chris Sale, as I mentioned, a 5-year extension, so he's got 6 more years with the Red Sox. However, I do believe I read he does have an opt-out.
I think there's an opt-out.
But he turns 30 this Saturday, so he'll be pitching till 36. Max Scherzer is 35 years old, keeps himself in impeccable condition, and he's still a top 3 pitcher in all of baseball. So and Chris Sale does not have an ounce of fat on him, keeps himself in really, really good shape. So again, I think it was a really fair contract for both teams.
Good word.
So.
Yeah, and you need a number 1 pitcher on your staff, and
absolutely.
Chris Sale was the guy. So, and one thing I read was, the owners were saying, "Geez, we made a big mistake trying to lowball Johnny Lester, and we're not going to let that happen again." So, and I thought that was pretty big of them to come out and say it and kind of, admit their mistake. So
4 years, $70 million.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember
70 or 90.
I was
70,
also
I think it was
reading
70.
the other night where it said J.D. Martinez will pull out of his contract after this year. Now, I forgot who wrote that article, but
boy, given what's going
on,
on,
I don't know. I think he was in the Kool-Aid because, if J.D. had watched the market this year, I think he would have been very happy he was making $21 million or whatever he's making.
Yeah, I think 22. But I
hear you.
I think his contract is fair considering he's more of a DH.
Yeah.
And I said it a zillion times. Jackie Bradley can go 0 for 4, strike out 3 times, and
still be a factor.
Win you a ball game with his glove. Defense means a lot to me. So, again, I've never been a millionaire before. But I don't see the difference of Martinez getting 22 versus 25, a big deal, other than they're athletes, they're competitive, and they want to be paid more than the next guy on the other team. But
So baseball, let's play ball.
I'll let you guys go, and good luck with the baseball.
Thank you, caller.
Hey, thanks for hanging with us tonight. Sorry about the problems.
So, Duke, actually, I got 2 minutes to go. We didn't talk NCAA. I'm not interested in CAA. And plus, you and I.
Can I just make a quick comment? The Dukies were the luckiest. They absolutely should have lost the game to a great UCF team. And Hawk, all the times you've said, I'm the college basketball expert, forget it. Never say that again.
Okay.
UCF, did I know Johnny Dawkins was their coach? No, until March Madness started. Did I know Aubrey Dawkins, Johnny's kid, was his star player? No, so don't give me praise again.
So I do have a question. You said I gave you that Duke hat right in front of you here.
I think so.
Great looking hat. Question. I love nicknames, but sometimes nicknames don't match, like the Vermont Catamounts. There's hardly a catamount in the state of Vermont.
In fact, most people would say there aren't any.
Right. If you see a sighting, it happens every 10 years.
So
my question to you is, Duke University, what in the heck is a Blue Devil?
I think it was, you'd think I'd know that. I think it might have been like a fighting group like in World War I or maybe, Blue Devil, but sorry, I don't, that's a vague memory, but I'll try to get on top of that.
And
a couple of years ago, I think Williamstown, one of the teams in Vermont, I think Williamstown High School, I think Williamstown is a Blue Devil.
And the other one is North Carolina. What in the heck is a Tar Heel?
The reference you hear is, I think maybe going back to the Civil War, or, your tough soldiers stayed, fought the valiant battle as if they had tar stuck on their heels or something. I think it might be like a Civil War reference.
Yeah. Some of these schools have some pretty neat names.
Yeah.
Wake Forest. What are
the Demon Deacons. Virginia, the Cavaliers or Wahoos. Yeah, there's some good names down there.
Because I always like to know the historic significance behind that.
Of course, the other Catamounts at Western Carolina University out in beautiful Western North Carolina.
Yeah. So, that is it. That will conclude this edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. For Duke, I'm the Nighthawk and our studio engineer, Mr. Zach. And next week, Duke, I promise you, we'll talk more NCAA basketball.
Fun.
Till next week, everyone, remember, you don't have to be a great athlete to be a good sport. Ciao for now.
Go Blue Devils. Good job, Ron. See, so we had some early issues.